Welcome to Zonk. Welcome to Zonk. Story 1. I cheated on my husband last week when I went to visit a friend and my sick dad in another state. My intentions weren't to go there and have an affair. It just kind of happened after some talking and alcohol. I justified it to myself by reminding myself that I wasn't happy. I felt as if my husband put everything in his life before me. He ignored me often, made little attempt to talk to me beside the usual daily questions. I didn't feel loved anymore. We kinda rushed into our marriage. We met early last year, decided we were perfect for each other, got engaged, I got pregnant. We got married in August, and I had the baby in December. So we haven't even been married a whole year. I feel so stupid about what I've done. Breaking up my family and separating my daughter's parents. At least she's too young to know what's going on. I'm just really worried about what's going to happen. He's made it clear he doesn't want to try counseling or to try and work it out. I've already moved out of our house and back into my mom's. I'm supposed to have my daughter Thursday to Sunday since he works Friday to Sunday. I was a stay-at-home mom. I'm not sure how I'm going to find a job with such a shitty schedule, since I won't have anyone to watch the baby when I have her, and most places want you to be able to work weekends. He doesn't want to pay child support, just do 50-50 custody. I'm afraid he's going to try and get full custody since I can't support us. I don't want to lose my child. Not sure why I'm posting this, I'm just a wreck right now, sorry. It sounds like you're going through a very difficult time right now. It's important to acknowledge that what you did was wrong and that it will have consequences. However, it's also important to remember that you're not defined by your mistakes, and there's always a chance for growth and redemption. It's understandable that you weren't feeling fulfilled in your marriage, but cheating was not the solution. It's important to communicate with your partner and work on issues together, rather than looking for validation and attention outside of the relationship. Comments. That's rough. I don't judge people for cheating. No one knows what goes on behind closed doors. That being said, you should feel stupid. You did a stupid thing. Moving forward, you need some legal advice. Neither one of you are the same as you were less than a year ago when you married, and neither one of you can be trusted now, to be honest. He's going to be out for blood, most likely, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If you can't afford a lawyer, perhaps consult a paralegal or see if your county clerk has a mediator you can use. Why do women always blame alcohol and never take responsibility for their actions and decisions? You weren't waterboarded with liquor. You drank and made a conscious decision to screw someone else. End of story. You understand that, don't you? You are responsible for the choices you make and actions you take. Men aren't, and liquor isn't. Get your head screwed on straight and own this. If you take this head on, you might be able to resolve this with him. Quit feeling sorry for yourself and act like an adult and be accountable, liable, and responsible as an adult. Nothing just happens. That kind of attitude is maddening in how ridiculous, infantile, and deflective it is. Grow up. How old are you? Story 2. So, obviously, this is a throwaway. Early 20s, female, Canada to begin with. My father was MIA when I was a child, and still is. I found out who he was at the age of 17. But he refuses to meet me, even with pressure on his side of the family. And this gave me a lot of insecurities. My mother is disabled, and I was a pretty difficult child to raise. I ended up drifting from foster home to foster home, never having stable parental figures or even really adults in my life. I went to a school and lived in an environment where everyone had two parents. Both now and then, I'm incredibly jealous of people with Father's Day. Father's Day is incredibly rough on me, and it's hard for me to even meet my friends' parents. A few years ago, I started dating this great guy. He wasn't perfect, and neither was I. And pretending otherwise demeans this story. We both went through a lot of rough stuff during our relationship together, but he was quite a bit older. He took care of me, sometimes even in the way a father might. He was incredibly patient and built up my self-esteem in a lot of ways. I've dated quite a bit before and since, but I've never felt that good, that whole. We are no longer. We still talk once in a while, and it kills me. He means the world to me, and I am now a passing acquaintance. I'm pretty sure that I'm compounding the issues of my family and abandonment issues in with losing him. I lost him because I cheated, which is probably the worst part. I would do anything to go back in time and change what I'd done, but I know that's not possible. And I'm also pretty sure he'll never come back to me. I push people away, in relationships and my social life. I push them so far that they leave, and then I tell myself that I'm terrible and not worthy. I know this now, but I can't undo where I was in the past. I see a therapy and I take antidepressants and I'm dealing with a lot of issues, but this one still eludes me. How do I deal with my daddy issues and the one that got away? I'm so tired of hurting myself more by pushing people away. He's the most important person in the world to me, and I wish he wasn't. RA, I need advice, because I want to move on or find my way back. Honestly, right now, I couldn't tell you what I want more. One thing that might be helpful in dealing with your abandonment issues and loss of this important relationship is to continue exploring and understanding your feelings through therapy. This can be a long and difficult process, but it can ultimately lead to greater self-awareness and healing. However, you need to stop blaming your bad behavior on your daddy issues. You chose to cheat, and it was a conscious and voluntary act that you could have stopped any minute but didn't. Comments. Clearly, you should find a way to stop needing anything from your biological father. He ain't giving, and you can't squeeze anything out of him. Just as clearly, you need to improve your self-esteem. It's too bad about the end of the relationship with the boyfriend, but mistakes are made sometimes. I hope you can forgive yourself and move on. It's good to hear that you're working on stuff with a therapist. You probably realize that all therapists are not created equal. If you're not making the kind of progress you need with therapist A, move on to therapist B or C. It sounds like you want to make progress rather than to stay loyal to your therapist. You feel like you're not worthy of being loved. Lots of women carry that baggage. At least you're aware of your behavior. Until you get past the realization that your dad not being there probably had nothing to do with you, you're going to be an unreliable partner. You're doing the right things. It just may take some time to work things out. Behavioral therapy might be more productive. Learning to recognize destructive behaviors and associated feelings and head them off before they translate into harmful actions. Careful with those antidepressants. Story 3. I'll try my best to make a very long story short. I dated a guy for more than 5 years, starting when I was a teenager. Let's call him Bill. Bill and I were very much in love, but it didn't work out. He left me and broke my heart. Within a month after Bill and I's breakup, I'm dating a new guy. Let's call him Greg. Greg is a great guy. We have a lot of fun together. He treats me well. I feel very connected to and comfortable with him. I know it's too soon, and we try and take it slow. But a month after Bill's gone, I'm in a serious relationship with Greg. A few months pass. Greg and I are doing okay. The initial head rush walking on clouds love faded a little too quickly. I haven't been too happy, and I'm very worried about hurting him because Greg is very much in love with me, while I'm confused and unsure about being in a relationship at all. I write him a letter while he's away to tell him what's been going on in my head. I have a really hard time expressing myself face to face. There's some dissociative issues there. This backfires hugely. He swings into a chemical depression, convinced that I'm leaving him. In the meantime, I've been in touch with an old friend of mine, Sam, who was very close with Bill and I and now lives in a different part of the country. Sam comes to visit me. He tells me that he's in love with me. I know I'm falling for him, and we sleep together. He goes back home, and I'm in a panic missing him. After all these years of friendship, I know this is right. I see Greg for the first time since the letter. It takes a lot of convincing to get him out of his house and to come talk to me. I can't stand seeing him so horribly depressed and hopeless. We talk. I kiss him to make him not so sad. This leads to sex. Afterwards, we leave it at this. No labels, no pressure, which is how we started the relationship. Greg knows Sam visited, but not that anything happened. Sam wants me to leave Greg, and I know I should. I cheated, physically and emotionally. I want to be with Sam. Two things stand in the way. One is my concern for Greg's well-being, because I can't summon the strength to say goodbye when I know how hopeless and sad he feels, and how much a breakup would destroy him. Second is that I care about Greg deeply. I still have a strong connection with him and we have a great time. I do not want to lose this friendship. The final complication. Due to my long-term relationship during my formative years and chemical issues with anxiety, I physically cannot stand being alone. This is, selfishly, preventing me from breaking up with Greg because I will physically panic. Sam lives far away. If I leave Greg, I will be on my own and will likely spiral into a breakdown. So, relationship advice. How do I not lose Greg's friendship and not lose my mind? This is oversimplified for length, so ask me anything. Comments. Everything you're doing is terrible and, in reality, is actually quite selfish. Very incredibly selfish. Save this Greg boy some trouble and leave him. Tell him the truth and say goodbye. You're not doing him any good. Greg will not be your friend after all this, but that's the loss you have to take. You're so screwed, you can't be alone. Greg's so fricked up, he can't be without you. Sam is so screwed up, he thinks he's in love with someone he's never actually dated. Pity party of 3, your table is ready.